Hey, everybody, welcome. Speaking of Schmoedown, a sports talk show devoted to the movie trivia Schmoedown. Holy shit, fuck, guys, what's going on? I'm totally stoked about this week's episode. First and foremost, Amber was not able to be here today. Bless her heart. We will have her on again in the future. Love having her on. And Frenchie is not able to be here today either. So we're going to have a short show today. We're going to kick this shit off and do it for an hour. And it's going to be fun. Lieberman will be here. We have a hard question today that involves the Rookie of the Year award. So I'm looking forward to getting you guys' thought on that. Of course, we're going to talk the pay-per-view, Snyder versus Ellison, and then the other two guys that I forgot all about. This is a true story. Thank you to Dagan. Shout out to Dagan, okay? The Ellison and the Snyder match ends, and I immediately turn it off, and I go to Netflix and I put on The Walking Dead. I'm at the end of season 3. The governor's about to tear shit up at the prison. Like and then Dagan, he replies to my text that was from like an hour and a half, 2 hours earlier, but he did it the perfect time, and he reminded me that there was still another match. So I went back. And I got back just in time as they introduced Collins, and I was like, okay, dude, I'm good to go. A little bit of stuff in the middle, but thank you to Dagan for saving my ass on that, or I would have been sitting there watching The Walking Dead all night.
It'd have been great if you would have came on the show, and we would you missed an entire match, Jay.
Yeah, what the hell's going on here?
We have to boot you out of your own show.
Yeah, right.
Really.
Hey, peek behind the scenes, dude. That would not be the first time that someone has been on this show and did not watch any of the matches that week. It has happened before. I didn't know it till last minute, and I didn't care because I love the person. But and then someone else did. Okay, I did it once too. I had a really tough week. But anyway, this is not about me and my tough week. Double D, our numbers guys here. What's up, Dan?
Well, I went viral on TikTok. I have 100,000 views on there with a different video that I didn't expect to blow up, but it was such a good video. It blew up. But yeah, I'm doing good. A little tired from last night because I was on Schmoes in the North talking about the pay-per-view, but I'm happy to be here as well.
Hell yeah. And we got Dustin back again. How you doing, buddy?
Splendid. Thanks for having me. I'm coming down. I'm in an air-conditioned office. I told Jay I played vintage baseball today. I just got in like a half hour ago from playing ball. We won, so I'm in a great mood.
Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. To be honest, if this were not a Schmoedown show specifically, I would much rather talk about that baseball game that you played in. But maybe time. We had some great matches this week, though. Let me see here. I got my list. Oh, yeah. We had baby heel Brandon Hanna taking on our man Saul. Dude, I'm so happy that this went the way it did. I've been waiting for this moment specifically for a very long time, and especially after Saul's last match that he had. This felt really good to watch. I don't know, man. I will be honest though. Hanna didn't look as strong as he has in the past, though, and so I don't know if that played into it at all, or if Saul just came out with an extra can of whoop ass. But what do you think, Dan?
This was a pretty surprising match for Saul. I mean, you can tell that he's actually really learning from his past mistakes, because in his last match, he just went balls in. He's like, I'm going in, I'm going to take whatever I want. Here, I felt like he was a little bit more calculating. He analyzed, especially in round 2, he spun twice. I forgot what he landed on first, but he spun away from that, and he ended up with Spider-Man, and it was tied in the first round, but he exited round 2 with a 4-point lead. And again, my numbers from last week, usually when you have the lead at the end of round 2, you are more likely to win than lose. So it's just kind of a story right there that proves my numbers a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was all about Saul. I don't know. Hannah's an interesting cat in this game, right? Like, people were saying it was a must-win for Hannah, and I don't know. I didn't really get that feeling. I thought Saul needed a good showing after, it doesn't help that Goddard's is on his team, and he's on backstage all the time, and we hear Goddard talk Saul up all this, as being this whiz, and then we go and watch him, lose to Amaru pretty handily. And then you had Saul, like Double D just said, they missed a few, what was it, 8-8?
He missed one question in round one.
Okay.
But they both missed it, or question.
Yeah, they both missed it. Yeah. So I don't know. I was really afraid, kind of like you, Jay. I'm so glad it went the way it did. I felt Saul needed the win. I think Inner Geekdom needed Saul to get the win too. I think the whole league is better with Saul winning.
Yeah.
For the fantasy league.
Yeah, that's right. I hear
I'm clawing my way up. I'm 3 points away. Oh, and speaking of that, I took away 1 point from Kayla, who's in first place. So I'm getting closer. I'm etching closer.
Yeah, I'm eating shit. I started in first, then I hung out in second place, and now I'm in fucking fourth, and I'm like, what's going on? But Ty brought me some points, so that's going to be awesome to thank him in person for that here in a little bit. But yeah, I'm moving on to the next match. We had Liz Shannon Miller against David Del Rio. I was surprised, honestly, by the outcome of this one. I don't know. Liz is becoming one of those people that I just kind of go into, and I'm like, I put my money on her. She seems like a safe bet.
Yeah, same here. I mean, but keep in mind, they were tied going into the final round, and Liz just missed her 5-pointer. That's also, I mean, obviously they missed 2 questions in round one. Both of them checked the multiple choice in round 2. So really, the final round, it just came to a very tough 5-point question. And I forget what it was, but I think was that the Pixar movie, or who I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, that was kind of hurtful to see that she missed her 5-pointer. But oh well. I mean, hey, you win some, you lose some.
Hey, real quick here, Dagan had this comment. I hope Saul wins the tourney and faces Chandru at Spectacular. He will get one of the biggest baby face reactions in the history of the game. That would be amazing. And I'm a big fan of Chandru as well. And speaking of Chandru, he will be our guest next week, the day after his match drops against Kalinowski. So be sure and come back for that. And everyone, please subscribe and hit that like button as well. Dustin, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I was kind of with you. Again, Jay, it looks like I'm just going to be in agreement with you all day. I think that isn't Liz easy money. Like, I don't know. She just, even though her record's not in singles, it's still it's like 500, I think. I think she went into that match like 6-5 or something. I was surprised that she'd played 11 singles matches, I'm pretty sure. And, Liz is now forcing him. It's a tough go, and it's a tough go for Sam. Obviously, we're getting into the next match, too, we got 2 of his top people out of the tournament already. And, and Dave's good, Del Rio's good, but I'm not sure how many, people are super behind that Del Rio can win this. So it was an interesting first round match. I want to say that. I thought that was an interesting matchup.
I wonder how they do match that. Like, I mean, obviously they're going to look at everyone who's in the tournament and they're going to say, they're going to try to match them up evenly paired. You know what I mean? They don't want blowouts.
Right.
But that would be interesting to have like a short 15-minute documentary of just someone over their shoulder in the room while they're planning out the brackets.
You would think Liz would be like, I don't know, a 4 seed, and David's probably an 8 seed.
Well, I don't know this for sure, but from what I remember, is the brackets are determined like seeds 1 here, then 2, and they reverse the order. So I think I would like to know how they determine. I think it's by their record, because that's how it determines who's in the 15 seed and who's the number 1 seed, and so on and so forth, based on that record. And I wish Christian would come back on here, and that would be one of the questions I would ask.
Well, isn't that Christian's big issue kind of with the factions right now too, is because of the fact that you need to make it even too? So when you're doing 32, you have to have 8, 8, 8, and 8. So they're not playing each other and it makes it even?
Actually, I did a little bit of research on this. There's in one side of the bracket, there's usually like most of them are one, but there's usually one faction that has two, and the other faction has zero, and it's like repeats that all throughout. The only faction in this tournament, the singles tournament, that has one in each quadrant is the Finstock Exchange, and as a result of that, they have the highest potential point earners for the whole tournament.
Right, and I know that's why Christian came out and said that's why the bracket took so long, is to try to make that a. I'm sure that's a nightmare.
Yeah,
complete nightmare.
Yeah, I would love to see that little, like I said, a little 10, 15-minute documentary in the room while they're doing that. Get on that, Christian and the crew.
Did we know, and sorry to interrupt, did we know who Del Rio goes on to play?
hold on, give me a second.
Again, without the bracket in front of me.
Del Rio, he's going to be facing either Brittany Young or James White. So whoever wins that match, they're going to face the winner of that match.
Another interesting matchup right there. That's an interesting little spot because that means in the Elite Eight, I don't think.
Well, this is interesting. ASG, as far as I'm saying, being in the room while they're planning the brackets, ASG for Let's Get Ready Network says, I don't think there's a room. I think it's just Christian. That's interesting. I could see Christian being the bulk of the decision making, but something this big, like 3-4 divisions of brackets and all that, and I can't see him doing it all by himself. There's got to be.
Well, I mean, with the other three, it's just one person. It's just 8 people in the tournament. So the big one is the singles one. So that's probably where most of his focus on it is. And with Star Wars, obviously, the only one that with Star Wars, obviously, we're still waiting on who wins between Demolanta and Harper. So he's already kind of built that up already. So his main focus was probably the singles one. Right. Get the easy one out of the way and focus on the hard stuff last.
Well, and then like what Double D just said, and I'm sure what Christian does is whenever it gets set up, he has to email that to the managers, and I'm sure that's a super fun 9-person email chain that he's on.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a complete disaster.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, man. I'm really looking forward to next season because it appears there's going to be some changes with factions as far as how many factions and possibly the amount of players in the factions. It's going to be really interesting, and I'm so freaking super excited about that.
Because they're going to condense, right? More of a kind of back to like season 5, 4 or 5 when it was a smaller group that was just all going and. You know, it's nice that they expanded out because without that, we don't have Marisol or Collins or, Horowitz or all these people, which is awesome. But it would be nice to start bringing it down,
Yeah, because I feel like the new rookies, I feel like I keep forgetting the names of them. And like, oh, yeah, like a couple of weeks ago, I remembered, King Kong is in this league. And I'm like, even when I was looking at Beth May, I'm like, I know the name, but I just can't picture the face. And obviously, I saw her match. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, who she is. So I feel like with the condensation, it'll get us more familiarized with the new players.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know. I still like I don't know. I still like the idea of only having 5 people on a faction and 1 spot remaining open, and you use the other 4 as your specialty players. So you have 1 Star Wars, 1 for Inner Geekdom, and then 2, and then 1 for singles, and then pick another. I don't know, man. Right. I just
you don't even know your own thought, Jay.
I got lost, dude. I'll be honest, man. I was reading something to the side here as I was talking, and then I get to that point where I'm just like, I don't know, the thing, man. And that's where it's just like, boom, that's it. But I do have a thought about that is really good, I think. But anyway, we are going to save the McWeeny-Lieberman match to talk about with Lieberman. But we do have a hard questions we're going to get into here real quick for the next 5 minutes. And speaking of rookies, okay, so my thinking behind presenting this question is that all the divisions are so vastly different. Like someone who, like a Star Wars player who is kicking ass there, they're not necessarily going to be able to do that in IG. We've seen that with Alex Damon, and vice versa, and so on with different, because each division has its own unique thing. You know what I mean, as far as the movies and what it pulls from. So my question I'm presenting is, should each division have its own Rookie of the Year? Because, you know, is it maybe not fair isn't the right word. I mean, life's not fair, but like I said, you got someone in Star Wars who's really good and probably deserves to be Rookie of the Year. But if you stack them up against people who are in other divisions, they couldn't take them out, and vice versa. So I just wanted to talk about that. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? We'll start.
About me? Okay, so I don't think that there should be a rookie. I totally disagree. I don't think there should be a rookie for each division, because, you know, it's supposed to be a one rookie. You know, it's like, and it's supposed to promote who's the best rookie of the whole league, not just the whole division, but the whole league in general. And that's why we have categories such as best IG player, best Star Wars player, best singles player. We have those categories for that specifically. So to have another award for each in the division, it really doesn't mean anything much to. It really kind of taints the idea of best rookie overall, best rookie for the league. I mean, so I like it the way it is right now.
And real quick before you say something, Dustin, I'll just say right now, Dan, I didn't have a mindset one way or the other. I was just presenting a question. You just changed. You just made me take a stance on this, an official stance. I agree with you, because as soon as you said, what you made me think of was, I've got that sports mentality when I look at Schmoedown. So, Rookie of the Year, they're not going to have a Rookie of the Year for shortstop position. They're not going to have a Rookie of the Year for first baseman. Just like I said with the divisions, Joey Votto at first base for the Reds, he ain't going to be as good at shortstop as the shortstop for the Cubs. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, you made your point. You made a very solid point, dude. You actually, I have a stance that is, I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree with Double D too. And actually, if you want to take something else into account, in all honesty, I think the Schmoedown has too many awards as it is. With the award show at the end of the year, I'm always like, we're going to cut some of these out, because again, I think of that sports feel, right? You go into it, and NFL, you got Rookie of the Year, MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then maybe a rookie defensive. Like the end of the year, like there's like 7 people getting an award. I understand the Schmoedown's different because it's an entertainment thing as well, but I think it just muddies the waters, and it shouldn't dispel the person that's playing in more than one division as well. You know, I understand if Harper and Amaru have plenty of reasons to possibly be Rookie of the Year this year, plenty of them, and I think this might be the first. Or I don't know if it is the first, but a year where that could happen, where we get an Inner Geekdom or a Star Wars player's rookie. I don't know if that's happened. I'd have to go look back, but it has to be a single, because we're already talking. People make the mention of like, well, Horowitz or downtown, they could be Rookie of the Year, and like and I've yet to start hearing people say, what Jay's bringing up, the specialty divisions. I don't hear people saying Amaru is Rookie of the Year. I don't think I've heard that once, but I think it should be a little more focused. If you go on and win a belt.
What we could probably do is get a nominee from each division and then just combine it as one like overall title for, you know what I mean? Like having a nominee from each division.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm sorry, Dan, we're cutting a little bit into your segment, but I'm going to make this real quick. Okay. And you guys want to say something real quick, but I was going to say something similar to that, where we have a Rookie of the Year for each division and then have them play matches against each other that is just general knowledge across all divisions as far as the questions, and let them go at each other that way for the Rookie of the Year. Now, but that's getting into
I love that, Jay.
Within the awards, which I think sounds cool, but it's probably not a very cool thing to do.
I think that's a fun idea. Let's do it.
Maybe we'll talk about that more here in the next couple weeks. I'm going to think about it more. But right now, everybody, it is time for.
I'm going to talk dirty to you for a second. Math.
Ow! Go Roxy and go Double D with his sexy numbers. What do you got for us this week, buddy?
All right, so Dustin, you haven't been here for the last week, so let me kind of sum up what we discussed last week. This is actually part 3 in a series that I did, and we're looking at something in hockey statistics where you get the first goal and who goes on to win. So that's a statistic in hockey, and Frenchie wanted to see what was that statistic in the Schmoedown. And basically, the summation is that most of the statistics happen in round 1. And the second highest statistic is when they do have a lead and they don't win. So that's how it basically sums up. We looked at singles and we looked at IG, and the conclusion that we came up with is that you're going to have that when you go on to have a lead in round 1 and you go on to have a great lead in round 2, you ultimately win the match. That's how it's been the standard for both singles and IG. So we're going to be looking at Star Wars and teams. So just to kind of define what we're kind of talking about, we look at the end of the rounds to determine who takes the lead. We're not looking at what happens in the match because we're looking at the end because that's the information that I have. So the categories that we're looking at is round 1 lead, person who takes the lead in round 1 at the end of round 1 and win the match. And a no-win is when someone takes the lead somewhere in the match but ends up doesn't win match. And basically, I looked a little bit deeper, and it turns out somewhere between 95% and 93% of a no-win category had round 1 leads. So for the teams division, as you can see, the round 1 lead had 69% of the time they had the lead in round 1, and they went on to win the match. And the second highest is 20%, where there was a no-win, where they had the lead somewhere and went on to lose the match. So what are your thoughts? What do you think is the average lead for the teams division? Do you think it's going to be very high, or do you think it's going to be very low?
Ooh. I would say, well, I mean, just looking at the stats for the teams, I mean, you would think, I don't know, teams is such the hard one because there's 4 guys, right? And there are 4 players. It seems like that's the tough one to judge because I'm now trying to think. I haven't thought of it like this, of how many people have done it. I would say it's lower. It would have to be. I would just think based off the.
So just to kind of sum this up, with singles, I think it was a 2-point. The average lead was 2 points.
Okay.
So for teams, the average lead is about 3 points with the standard deviation of about 2 points. And we find in a lead in round 1, but they went on to lose the match. The average lead was 2 points with a standard deviation of 1 point. So it's close, but it's a little bit lower. But as we find out in round 2, the lead increases to 5 points. With round 1 leads, they increase to 5 points, and the standard deviation increases to almost doubling.
Wow.
And if we look on the other side where they had the lead in round 1 but went on to lose the match, the person who was leading doesn't take the lead. The opponent takes the lead, statistically speaking. And the final round, with the round 1 lead statistics, the lead slightly decreases, but it's still the person who is leading, they still maintain their lead. Whereas it's the reverse. The opponent takes the lead statistically. So this has kind of been the theme going on every single scenario in every single division, where the person who has the lead in round 2 statistically says that they will win the match more likely than they will lose. Of course, we had certain matches this week where the person who was leading didn't end up winning the match. So, but we're going to go into the Star Wars division. Now, this is a very specific division. So let me ask you this question. So what would you think? Would you think the numbers are going to be the same with round 1 lead, or do you think it's going to be significantly greater?
I would say I would say it'd have to be greater.
Greater? Okay. Now, with a no-win where they had a lead, now, again, 95, somewhere between 90 and 70% is going to be round one in this no-win. So do you think that is going to be low or high with the average lead?
Well, it's Star Wars, so I would assume whoever has the lead going into round 3 is who's winning.
So this is round one. So we're just looking at
round 1.
Yeah, we're just looking at.
Again, I still think it's still Star Wars. I'm assuming whoever has the lead. I'm just going to assume that percentage is who's winning.
Okay, well, let's take a look. So the start in the round one lead statistics, the average lead is 2 points with about a standard deviation of 1 point. And the person who has the lead in round one but no win, the average lead is 1 point with half of a point, a 60th of a point as the standard deviation. So we're literally only talking about 2 points at the high end. So it's within that same bracket. But let's see what happens in round 2. We can see that in this statistic that it increases to about 3 to 4 points with a standard deviation of about 3.5 points. So it's a gigantic lead. But if we look on the other side, it's still very, very small. In fact, the person who was behind caught up, but there's still like a 2 point lead. So it's still close. And if we go into the final round with the round one lead statistics, it's about 4 points with a standard deviation about 5 points. And again, we're looking at whoever in the other side, it's literally just 1 point with a standard deviation of 1 point. So it's literally about 2 to 0 points. So I want to sum this up because basically it really doesn't matter what happens in round one. It really what happens in round 2. Whoever, statistically speaking, doesn't mean it will happen, but statistically speaking, whatever happens in round 2, whoever's leading in round 2 will go on to win the match. We've seen Chance, I think, was behind, but he ultimately won. Adam Collins was leading, or they were tied with Jeff Snyder. No, Jeff Snyder. Well, basically, I think it was anyway, we've seen matches where someone who was behind went on to win the match at a great length. So we even Shannon's last night, when I was speaking to him last night, Mike and him were 8 points behind in the title match, but they caught back up. So just because statistically that there says whoever's leading at the end of round 2 doesn't necessarily mean they will win. It just means that more times than not, the person leading at the end of round 2 will go on to win the match. That's mostly speaking.
Sure.
But Jay, what do you think? Do you think that this is going to? Do you think that's a fair assessment, or what are your thoughts?
Dan, I will be completely honest. I defer everything to you because I was taking a screenshot and tweeting out a behind the curtains view of what I'm seeing, like with everyone in the background in the chat. And quite honestly, Dagan said something that I absolutely loved, and I wanted to put it out there, but without highlighting it. So if anyone happens to read the live chat in that screenshot picture, they're going to get a little bit of juiciness there from Dagan. Love it so much. But yeah, actually, yeah, she is here.
Had the sexiest numbers by far.
Yeah,
Thank you, Roxy.
We missed her last night at the pay-per-view, but yeah, she was able to call in to let Dan know that he has the sexiest numbers by far. Thank you very much, Dan. And right now, guys, we do have Ty Lieberman is here. How are you, sir?
Hello, can you hear me, Jay Wade?
Yes, I can. Welcome to the show. I'm going to bring the other fellas back up here in a minute, but
Certainly.
I wanted to talk to you about something.
Now, Jay, I've enjoyed your show all year. At the start of the season, when I joined the Schmoedown, I looked for podcasts that I could relate to, and I've been listening to yours since the beginning, but only as a podcast. So it's weird to see your face, and it's weird to hear you speaking so slowly because I'm normally listening at about 1.5 speed. So if you could pick it up a little bit, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. I'll do everything that I can to accommodate you and your wishes here since you are the guest. So we're glad to have you here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks,
and we'll be back again in the future. Now everyone will be like, now when you listen back to this, because I'm sure you will, because you're a faithful listener. When you hit that, let me know how fast that was.
Yeah, but slow it down, sir. Slow it down. You exceeded yourself.
Man, you played a great match the other night against McWeeny, but
Thank you.
I do want to backtrack a little bit. We've got you here, and before I bring the other guys on, I want to ask you about the challenge with the True Grit question against McWeeny and Barbarian. You were managing.
All right. I might need a glass of vintage wine in order to discuss this, but please go ahead. And if you would like to share your thoughts first, because I know you were one of the more vocal defenders of the FinStock Exchange after that, and I really do appreciate that. But if you could remind me your specific take, and then I'll give you the backstory and my personal opinion.
Excellent. My take is that this is what actually happened. Is that the question was asked in which the answer was True Grit. McWeeny said the name of the character, I believe Rooster Cogburn, I believe it was. And then within the next 4 seconds, and I timed this out, I did a video on it. I had the video of it. I timed it out. Within the next 4 seconds, McWeeny realizes he was wrong, thinks about it, then spits out the correct answer. Now, Andrew Guy did the proper thing and made the correct call and did not accept the answer. Then Sam comes in and challenges, which is fine, and that's one of the reasons I love Sam, being a baseball fan. I love his managing style, and I love the use of challenges. However, the problem lies within the overruling of Guy's original call, in which Mark Ellis apparently, I would think, leads off those challenge discussions and decisions, made the call and reversed it. And even if you refer to the rule book, which I did immediately, it says within 1 second. That's why I did the timing of it in the first place. It was 100% a botched call, and it's on my list of things that I think are bullshit this year. I mean, that's my honest take.
Well, it wasn't much different than that in the room. I could say that I was not expecting to be the manager that day. This is my first year watching the Schmoedown, so to say that I'm unfamiliar with the rule book would be quite an understatement. Was really only put in that position. It was an emergency situation where we couldn't have Gucci. Craig, who would be the second manager, was playing in the game. Roka was taping a podcast. It was between me and the guy that plays the guitar. Were the two options to fill in, and Craig felt comfortable with me. And honestly, a lot of the challenges, you have something like I Am Robot with Frankie Alvarez. Like, I could have caught that. I would have been there to catch that. If Craig had a couple of bad questions, I could have maybe calmed him down a little bit. Like, I think I could be a good manager. The only problem is it came to a situation where had to do something in the rules. And when Sam made the challenge, I was sitting there watching very intently, like, this is interesting. I wonder how they're going to rule. And then the camera comes to me, like, your screen lights up, and suddenly you realize you're on the air, and it's just like, oh no. You ever have the recurring dream where you're in a play and you didn't learn your lines, or you take a test and you didn't study?
Mine was always that I was in a baseball game in the outfield and I couldn't throw the ball.
You sure? Are you sure that was a dream? That might have just been your softball league. It was sort of everything in slow motion. Like, they're going to ask me what my thoughts on this, and I have no thoughts. I thought, again, Craig being the most knowledgeable player I know in the Schmoedown, I thought I wanted him to argue his own case. I didn't want to spend 15 seconds, spewing nonsense when I thought would have been better qualified. He could have pointed to examples from past matches, or he could have pointed to something specific in the rule book. What I didn't factor in was he was in the zone of playing. He was barely paying attention either. He was not in a position to answer his own, to answer that challenge at the time. So I regret abandoning that situation. But in the moment, I thought it was very logical at the moment to not waste time with my bluster when he could have answered for me. And also, if the rule truly was on my side, then they would come to that conclusion. And when it was ruled in the favor of McWeeny, I spent a good 2 weeks kicking myself for not knowing the rule book, not being in the position to fight for it. I know Barbarian was very, he was not upset at me or the ruling. He was upset that he missed his 5. At no point was he blaming anybody on the team for that call, but I certainly was upset at myself. And what I didn't realize until I started hearing your analysis and other people's analysis was it was a misinterpretation of the rule. The rule clearly was 1 second, and it was about 4 seconds. And I don't even think Drew and Sam believe that it was 1 second. It's only Amaru and his brother who are out there thinking that it was somehow within the manageable amount of time. And I do completely regret, and this is inexperience as a manager, I do regret not fighting for the case. I think if I had just said, oh, clearly he gave an answer, went up, got a cup of coffee, came back, scratched his balls, and then changed his answer, as silly as an argument as that was, I think that would have been the difference, because I think that they were looking for a more subjective argument than the objective application of the rule.
Man, well, my response to that would be, no matter how it came off on your part as far as not getting into the rule is there. They know the rule, and it doesn't matter if you have no argument whatsoever. They should look to the rule book, look to the tape, and say, well, that was much longer than what the rule book says, even though there wasn't a good counter argument. I mean, the arguments and the counter arguments really don't mean anything if you have a rule book, in my opinion. Because
right, and I know that this show in particular focuses on this on the Schmoedown as a sport, in which case you should follow the rule book to the letter of the law. I understand now, having talked to more people, that there is still an entertainment factor to the game, and by being unable to provide any argument, there is some subjectivity in the rule book still. And I don't blame them for making the call that they did, but just based on the rules, it was incorrect. And I don't know if they timed it or they didn't have timing. I mean, the great thing is that this set up a match with me and McWeeny because of the controversy, and everything ended up working out in the end. But at the moment, it was frustrating to know that clocks were not being watched.
Yeah.
But it's a tremendous, as sad as, if you had me on 3 weeks ago, I would have been crying into this bottle of wine, and now I'm laughing over it because of the trajectory that it literally wasn't even sure I'd be in the tournament at that point. But not only did I get into the tournament, but it set up a natural match for me in the tournament. And we had our revenge yesterday at the Scum and Villainy Cantina.
Yes, for sure. And I'm about to bring the fellas back up here. Before I do, and we get into that match, I do have one final question. I'm just curious, has there, as far as that challenge call that we've been talking about, has there been any recognition or acknowledgement on behalf of the Schmoedown that they botched that call?
I have not seen any. Also, I have not asked. I don't see any reason to go back and bring that up. It wasn't a title match. It wasn't a tournament match. Yes, it was for faction points. At the end of the day, there are two good players. And if Craig had hit his 5, he gets 29 points, which is the most points you could get without the most points you can get in a singles match, not going into sudden death. And then I could retire as the greatest manager in history. So it just seemed like it was such a small probability that could happen. And this is the most I've talked about this in 6 weeks. So I don't think it was the right call, but I'm no longer hanging my head. And it's certainly not a conversation I feel like I need to have with the Schmoedown. I just know next time, if I'm ever get in a position to manage again, and I really hope I do, I don't want to be 0-1 as a manager the rest of my career. I hope that I have learned that there is a little wiggle room in the rules, and hopefully I can be the one taking advantage of that next time. I do not have hard feelings over the ruling, and I have not discussed them with it. There were no apologies made. I don't think there were any apologies needed, but I certainly feel that way after I had the win yesterday. It seems to be a lot of water under the bridge right now for me and the whole FinSock Exchange.
Excellent. Dan.
You just kind of answered my own question, because I was about to ask you did you just want Drew McWeeny to have the points? Because if Drew didn't get the points, Barbarian would have won the match with his 2 and his 3, and that would have been it. The only way to get 29 points without going to sudden death is with Drew McWeeny's scenario, where you steal one question that was worth 20 points, but everything else had to be perfect. Drew had to get his 3 points so that Barbarian can get 20 that 5-pointer and get 29 points. That I was on the edge of my seat, because when I see that possibility, I'm like, okay, here it comes. I'm like, damn, Drew McWeeny lost the point, and then I'm like, they gave him the point.
It was definitely something I was conscious of that, but I don't think that was the goal. The goal was to win the match and get out of there and let's go to the bar and end this. But it did cross my mind in the moment. Well, Craig the Barbarian still has a shot here. So I don't know. It was tough. It was tough. I was really hard on myself. Most people supported the call, and we knew, like after it happened, we're like, I can't wait for this airs because we think that most people will support us, and I believe they did. But at the end of the day, there's so much. There's just not enough. I just don't have the bandwidth to fight with people over ultimately trivial things. So while frustrated at the time, I think everyone in the FinStock Exchange moved on, except maybe me for a little bit longer, but I have now moved on from it. But it was glad to get this on the record as we move on into the tournament season. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Oh, no problem. But if you don't mind, I'll keep my tinfoil hat and say you wanted Drew McWeeny to get the point, so that way Barbarian could do it. If you want the tinfoil hat conspiracy is. Well, okay, let me give you 2 other tinfoil hat conspiracies. One, this was all a setup to make Gucci look like the greatest manager of all time, because look what happens when he's not there. 2, this was all a setup to get myself into the tournament and a match with Drew McWeeny, who I felt confident that I could beat. That's the triple conspiracy. You should add some saran wrap and some twisty ties to your tinfoil.
He's going to jump out the window now. He's gone. Well, my question for you. Well, hang on. Let me join the party. Let's just.
Yes. People come prepared.
I'm drinking clear liquid.
So, when you first get the email call that you're going to face Drew live for the first round of the tournament, what's the first thought?
The first thought was I need to get this match taped immediately, because I don't want Roca and JT changing their mind about entering the tournament. So, and you're like, let's get this locked down. Roca and JT are 2 legends. It's been incredible being on a faction with them. I was surprised when they said that they wanted to bow out of the tournament. I'm excited because I benefited directly from that. I would not have been in the tournament if either of them would have done it. And I have much respect and gratitude to them. At the same time, let's get this match done in case they change their mind, because I'm not sure I could stand up and say no to them if they had. And then to be at the Scum and Villainy Cantina, this is my first live match. And we have a tremendous influx of rookies this year in the Schmoedown, a lot of new blood, so to speak. And I believe Amaru had his first match at the Collision, but I think I'm only the second rookie who's been on that stage. And it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be live and play in front of the crowd. And I really hope if there are any other first-year players out there to really embrace that moment, because just because you got chosen and been playing in a digital format, you really have to step up your performance, step up your energy if you ever get in a live setting. So I was happy to do it, and hopefully that I'm just the first of many first-year players who get a chance.
The other question I have too, I watched you on backstage too, and you mentioned it at the top that you're pretty fresh into this. What's it like coming into this world, this Schmoedown world that Jay has created an entire show and all these folks and Double D's doing stats and all this crazy.
The amount. So Ethan Irwin is a friend of mine, and he tried to get me into this about 3 years ago, and I didn't really follow through with it. He did get our friend Barbarian into it, and Barbarian was really pushing me to start watching matches. And I was honestly shocked how many members of the Facebook page, how many views some of the title matches God, I had no idea this existed, and I had no idea that there was such a community behind it. And coming out of 2020, which I would say is an understatement, was a difficult year for a lot of people. The idea that I could dip a toe into a new community was was something I was looking forward to doing. And so I was lucky to be drafted, and I'm now lucky to meet people virtually, both the players in the Schmoedown and the super fans like y'all, and then being at the Discovery Villainy Cantina for both tapings they had in August, and being able to meet both people face to face, to see like Ben Bateman and Dan Muriel talking in a corner, like, oh, this is so cool. Or yeah, it's wild. It's been a wild 8 months, and I'm really glad that I did dip my toe into the community.
I want to know, of everyone that you've met so far in person from the community, who is the most fun when they've had some drinks in them?
You know who was? I don't know if he had drinks in them. I was when I met Chandru, and I was not expecting much. And that guy's great. I know he's taken a lot of heat, and I got to see his match against Mike, which is going to be next week, and that is sensational. There are some promos in that match from both players that are incredible. Chandru is not a heel in real life, at least not that I'm aware of. So he was a lot of fun to meet. In terms of getting drinks in them, I really enjoyed talking to Mark Ellis for the last those last 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
He was not. I don't think he appreciated my Washington football team joke during the match. I don't know how many people caught that, or what that might have flown over the heads of some few people. But I think he enjoys me in general, and he's been nothing but a delight the 2 times I've gotten to hang out with him.
Real quick here, Nancy Rodriguez had asked this question a little bit ago. Honest question: can you go back to the tape as you were recording? I reached out to Brandon Hanna just now, because he works behind the scenes sometimes, and he said, I don't believe so. I think they just discuss it amongst themselves. So,
right. This goes back to the timing again.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to end up in a Rashomon situation where one person says it was half a second, and one person says it was 10 seconds, one person says it was 4 seconds, and no one exactly knows the truth. I thought it was about 4 seconds, which turned out to be about the correct amount of time. But again, there was no. I mean, it's not like he didn't know the answer. Eventually, I don't know. I'm not sure. 50-50, it could go either way was the correct way to assess it, but there is I do see why in the flow of the game it felt kind of close, but no, that's a good question. Well, I don't know why they couldn't go back to the tape. I guess it's just hard to do that.
But I wanted to get an answer for Nancy there if I could. So
yeah, I don't know.
Thank you, Nancy, and Nancy, thank you for watching. I believe Nancy beat me at a Grease trivia a few weeks ago on the Nerd Chronic Video Drew show. So
I heard
now she's just out here trolling me with.
I've heard Christian in the past say that they don't have, they can't go back into the tape and they can't review it. But at least maybe that was in the past. Maybe they changed it now, but
maybe they just don't want to because then everyone would ask for that, and it just kind of you have to draw the line. And I get it. It's just show you don't want to spend 4 hours taping it. So,
but we did see a change with Kevin Smith's last match with his 5-point where he said, "Scary movie." Paused for 1 second, and then Christian said, "And your winner." So I think because of that match, Christian is actually looking more carefully at the time and being patient and saying, "Okay, done."
Well, Kevin Smith is also a master salesman. I'm not sure that was his intention, but Kevin Smith has had the best / worst challenges I've seen because he could sell you an Eskimo refrigerator. That guy's
he did not sell me on that challenge. That match. I'm like, no, Kate. It's spelled with a C. You know that Kate.
Well, what was funny? I was watching that match. With Brendan Meyer, of all people. someone who I just met a couple weeks ago, and I said, "Wouldn't it be funny if the next answer was something about someone starring in Blazing Saddles?" And I said, "Wouldn't it be funny if he just wrote Gene?" And when he turns it over, it just says Gene because he's covering up because he wants to reveal. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I called it."
I know probably have to go quick, but the one thing I want to say though, in the digital era, that obviously the only era granted you're one of the people that
it's actually nuts to go back and see how many, like, there were live events in Houston, like the Angry Guy Ben Bateman match and the free for alls. It's just nuts for me to think that all of this was in front of an audience, because really 95% of the stuff I've watched has just been digital.
Yeah, but I want to give you
a very narrow perspective of this.
Right, but I want to give you a little credit again. I do not know you beyond this right now. I don't know if
there's nothing else to know. This is it.
Is who you are, or if it's an extension of your character, or if this is character or whatever. But it's nice, the things that we've lost in the digital world. We have lost this, and I'm sure other Schmoedown fans, especially with rookies, this is more about the sport than the storylines and stuff. So it's really good to see someone out there that's, whether this is you or not.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that. I felt it like in the match against Drew. I was like, look at this. There's somebody out here doing something that's interesting.
There's sort of a joke in the faction about how it's unfortunate I didn't have a chance to do a character this year. Maybe next year we can do something. But no, I mean the intention was always to create a character that could perform live and be silly over the top, but at the same time say things that a little more deadpan. So there's a little bit both that could work in a small setting and then in a big setting as well. So again, I'm fortunate to be one of the first year players to have a match, and I know people in New York and Gold Leader and Harper and Peggy and the Rager Alvarez. Whenever you guys get a chance to really embrace it, if you ever get in front of a live setting, just go for it. I don't think you can be too big.
Yeah, can't wait to see how this tournament rounds out for you. Good luck, and you are welcome back here anytime, sir. I'll reach out to you here as the tournament progresses, and as you keep kicking ass, man.
I made the mistake a few weeks ago to say, they asked me who I would most like to face, and I just threw out William Bibiani as just a name, and then whoops, I should have aimed a little lower, because I have wished for maybe I have wished for too much. Maybe I have bit off more than I can chew, but I will be chewing as hard as I can for whatever we play probably this month, and we'll see how it goes. It's nice to have one tournament win under my belt, but I'd love to go for two, but Bibbs is certainly going to be a hard opponent, although he has maybe been stretched a little thin. He is more of a teams player. It's a very top-heavy faction. I don't know if he even wanted to do the singles tournament. Maybe he was forced into it. Maybe he's looking for a little soft retirement this year. Bibbs, if you're watching, if you want to get out of the singles tournament with a nice soft landing, let me know. We can make it happen. Cheers.
Yes. And with that, thank you very much, Ty, for being here. Have a great and safe week, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jay. And I hope the Reds catch the Padres.
Thank you very much. I do too, man. We need that wild card. All right. Ty Lieberman, everybody. Man, that was awesome. I've wanted to talk to him for a very long time. Very, very laid back and chill guy. I dig it. And as he said, he's been listening to this show. I've known he's a podcast listener for a while now. Actually, if it weren't for him, I would have stopped putting these shows on podcast platform. But he hit me up one day and was like, hey, man, it's been like 3 weeks. Are you going to put new episodes up or anything? And I was like, okay, well, it does matter. There is someone.
Someone's listening, Jay.
Yes, so I continue to do that. So thank you for that, Ty. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap the show up here. We got about 5 minutes. Pay-per-view discussion. Let's knock this out real quick. Okay, the first match, which was the one that I remember, I can't believe I fucking turned it off after the first match and forgot about the headliner. But Snyder versus Ellison. Dude, Snyder's a beast, dude. Like, his character work is so amazing. I love it, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I love the hatred people get on him for it. I'm like, this is so natural. It just the bitching, the shaking of the head, I love it. I love every second of it. And the fact that he's the only. Why does I imagine myself getting frustrated? How does nobody else just get up and walk off like the camera, like he does? He just got up and turned his back, and he's doing the Snyder thing and all that stuff. I love it. It's just it's so fucking entertaining. It's just unreal. And to have a straight guy like Chance on the other side is even better because Chance no-sells everything. It's so good.
Yeah, I thought it was smart for Jeff to take Wizarding World off the table, give Chance that Chance won opponent's choice. But it was great that Jeff took that Wizarding World off the table. Just give it to him because I'm not going to get those points.
And I saw comments of people saying that was a bad move. I actually thought it was a super.
No, that was smart
Jeff
because had he given Chance another category, the wheel is a fickle mistress, and I guarantee you that wheel would have spun on Wizarding World for him or anything opponent's choice.
And didn't we learn from the pay-per-view that those Inner Geekdom categories and the singles are not as easy anymore as they once were? Because both Collins and Chance, who are Chance, an official Inner Geekdom player, Collins, who has made mentions he wants to play in it, both got rocked in for Inner Geekdom style in their categories.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's weird. Okay. This just occurred to me recently, but I guess I kind of always knew it here the last 2 years. I used to be a lot better when playing along at the Schmoedown, but then PJ and his crew kicked up into like extreme overdrive, dude, and they're doing such a great job that I check out of a lot of the questions, to be honest, because they're just like way beyond me. I'm a casual guy, you know what I mean? I'm a Star Wars fan, but I would still get my ass kicked against someone who hates, you know. But
interestingly enough, I had an opportunity to talk to Chance last night about this. The question that he missed, I'm on my couch thinking, well, it's either the 20s or the 40s. I know the last digit is 7. So and I want to say the clothing was from the 1920s, so I'm guessing 1927. And sure enough, that was the right answer. But I actually had fortunate to tell him that, but it's like it could go either way for me. But I'm like thinking leaning toward the 20s.
Yeah. And the way just the way they worded some of the questions, like, and they even mentioned it, Christian and Mark even mentioned it during the match that, the questions where it's like this actor was in these 3 movies, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, dude, it's this person. But then I'm like, oh, wait, no, it wasn't that person. It was this other person that I forgot was in 2 of those movies. But it's just the question writing is just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I would not have survived IG at all. I would have been knocked out in I would not even be in contention. I'd be like, yeah, 1 match, goodbye, see you again.
And real quick, we're just about out of time here, but we'll go a couple minutes over, not too long. Adam Collins versus JTE. I am not going to lie at all. No matter how many times JTE surprises me with victories that I don't think he's going to win, I still never think he's going to win. And that's nothing against him, like as a person or anything. I love the dude. He got a great personality. But he just, I guess when I look at JTE, it's like when I meet one of my friend's kids now and they're like 21 or 22. And all I can remember is when they were 5 and 6 and running around while we were playing cards, you know? That's how I still see JTE as Josh the intern, you know, or Josh the engineer. And so it's just hard for me to think of JTE as being all grown up in the Schmoedown.
No,
that's
Jay,
why I got him in my fantasy league.
No, Jay. So I went into the night last night, texted my one buddy, and I was like, I'm $5 on JTE. I think he wins. Because I had that immediate thought. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep betting against him. And I've thought all year he's playing so well. I was like, I'm going to take him, even though I'm a huge corruption fan. I'm a big Collins fan. But I'm like, if I'm going to put money on it, I can't do it. And that's funny that you say that, because that is exactly what I did. It was, I can't do it again. I think Chance is going to win, and I think JT is going to win. And bam, I did what you did. I finally made the switch, Jay. It's a good switch to stop.
No, I never made the switch. That's what I still didn't think JT was.
See, I finally, Jay, welcome. Just do it.
Make the switch, Jay.
Yep, make the switch. Come with me, Jay. Jay, come with me. We'll make the switch.
Come to the docks.
We are now JTE choosers of winning matches.
See,
Don't
that's
you want to be in the winning circle?
the next time he plays, I'm probably still not going to pick him for some stupid reason. I don't know.
I'm afraid for Chance now. I am.
Is that who he's playing?
Yep.
Yeah, him and Chance.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I just had a fucking stupid moment in the head.
I don't know. Who do you think, D? While we're on our way out of here.
At this point, I don't even want to do them. I don't want to even guess, because if I guess, the other guy's gonna win. So I don't want to even guess.
I know.
You know what? I am. I'm on the train now. I'm on the JTE train now.
I know. My corruption fandom will always pick corruption. I want Chance to win, but if I have to put the money on it, I'm going JTE. I'm riding it.
Here's how to feel. I'm a corruption fan too, so it's either and JT's on my fantasy league, so it's either I win points or the faction that I'm supporting is going to win. This is a win-win for me.
Win-win. That's why it's great.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. And that's going to wrap it up for this week, everybody. We got some more great matches coming up this coming week, including the Inner Geekdom title match with Chandru and Kalinowski. And Chandru will be here next Saturday, guys. And you all know I'm a big fan of his, and I'm a firm believer in my theory that the power is in his hair, dude. And I'll be really, I made a tweet, a joke tweet about it, but it was true. I woke up yesterday morning and I had a dream that Chandru had posted a pic on Twitter and he cut his hair on Twitter and he'd cut his hair. And it was one of those that was so horrifying and vivid that it took me a while to realize that it was not a dream. I had to go to Twitter and I still haven't seen him post any pics since yesterday morning. I hope it's not true. The power's in the hair.
Psychic.
But yeah, like I said, we got Chandra next week. And until then, everyone, please have a great and safe week. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.